The complete works of Swami Vivekananda. Karmayoga, Chapter 6. Non-attachment is complete self-abnegation. Part 4. There was a great sage in India called Vyasa. This Vyasa is known as the author of the Vedanta aphorisms and was a holy man. His father had tried to become a very perfect man and had failed. His grandfather had also tried and failed. His great-grandfather had similarly tried and failed. He himself did not succeed perfectly, but his son Shuka was born perfect. Vyasa taught his son wisdom, and after teaching him the knowledge of truth himself, he sent him to the court of King Janak. He was a great king and was called Janak Videha. Videha means without a body. He was a great king and was called Janak Videha because he had entirely forgotten that he was a body. He felt that he was a spirit all the time. This boy Shuka was sent to be taught by him. The king knew about Vyasa's son was coming to learn wisdom, so he made certain arrangements beforehand. And when the boy presented himself at the gates of the palace, the guards took no notice of him whatsoever. They only gave him a seat, and he sat there for 3 days and 3 nights, nobody speaking to him, nobody asking him who he was or whence he was. He was the son of a very great sage. His father was honored by the whole country, and he himself was a most respectable person. Yet the low, vulgar guards of the palace would take no notice of him. After that, suddenly, the ministers of the king and all the big officials came there and received him with the greatest honors. They conducted him and showed him into splendid rooms, gave him the most fragrant baths and wonderful dresses, and for 8 days they kept him there in all kinds of luxury. That solemnly serene face of Shuka did not change even to the smallest extent by the change in the treatment accorded to him. He was the same in the midst of this luxury as he was when waiting at the door. Then he was brought before the king. The king was on his throne. Music was playing and dancing and other amusements were going on. The king then gave him a cup of milk full to the brim and asked him to go 7 times around the hall without spilling a drop. The boy took the cup and proceeded in the midst of the music and the attraction of the beautiful faces. As desired by the king, 7 times did he go around, and not a drop of milk was spilt. The boy's mind could not be attracted by anything in the world unless he allowed it to affect him. And when he brought the cup to the king said to him, "What your father has taught you and what you have learnt yourself, I can only repeat. You have known the truth. Go home." Thus, the man that has practiced control over himself cannot be acted upon by anything outside. There is no more slavery for him. His mind has become free. Such a man alone is fit to live well in the world. We generally find men holding 2 opinions regarding the world. Some are the pessimists and say how horrible this world is, how wicked. Some others are optimists and say how beautiful this world is, how wonderful. To those who have not controlled their own minds, the world is either full of evil or at best a mixture of good and evil. This very world will become to us an optimistic world when we become the masters of our own minds. Nothing will then work upon us as good or evil. We shall find everything to be in its proper place and to be harmonious. Some men who begin by saying that the world is a hell often end by saying that it is a heaven when they have succeeded in the practice of self-control. If we are genuine Karma Yogis and wish to train ourselves to that attainment of this state, wherever we may be, we are sure to end in perfect self-abnegation. And as soon as this seeming self has gone, the whole world, which at first appears to us as full of evil, will appear to be a heaven itself and full of blessedness. Its very atmosphere will be blessed. Every human face will be God. Such is the end and aim of Karma Yoga, and such is the perfection in practical life. Our various yogas do not conflict with each other. Each of them leads us to the same goal and makes us perfect. Only each has to be strenuously practiced. The whole secret is in practicing. First of all, you have to hear, then think, and then practice. This is true of every yoga. You have first to hear about it and understand what it is. And many things which you do not understand will become clear to you by constant hearing and thinking. It is hard to understand everything at once. The explanation of everything is, after all, in your own self. No one was ever really taught by another. Each rouses the internal teacher to work to understand things. Then things will be clearer to us by our own power of perception and thought, and we shall realize them in our own souls, and that realization will grow into the intense power of will. First it is a feeling, then it becomes willing, and out of that willing comes the tremendous force for work that will go through every vein and nerve and muscle until the whole mass of your body is changed into an instrument of the unselfish yoga of work, and the desired result of perfect self-abnegation and utter unselfishness is duly attained. This attainment does not depend on any dogma or doctrine or belief. Whether one is a Christian or Jew or Gentile, it does not matter. Are you unselfish? That is the question. If you are, you will be perfect without reading a single religious book, without going to a single church or temple. Each one of our yogas is fitted to make man perfect, even without the help of others, because they have all the same goal in view. The yogas of work, of wisdom, and of devotion are all capable of serving as direct and independent means for the attainment of moksha. Fools alone say that work and philosophy are different, not the learned. The learned know that though apparently different from each other, they at last lead to the same goal of human perfection.